Hello, bookworms, bibliophiles, and lovers of all things literature, and welcome to the next chapter of the Braless Book Guild podcast, where we discard our bras and fall into some fairy tales to talk about books both published and unpublished. We are your hosts. I'm Jenna. This is Megan.
Hello.
And Marissa.
No, she threw it off.
I just had to mix it up a little bit today.
Hi, I'm Marissa.
I like the no, she threw it off. That's a good way to start.
That's a good impression for me.
Yeah.
If this is your first episode, hi, I'm Marissa, and that's how I act.
Yes. If this is your first episode, you have no idea why I threw that off.
Yeah.
I didn't go in alphabetical order this time.
Right.
What are we drinking today, guys?
We're a bit out of practice on this.
Yeah.
In case you can't tell.
I don't know why I feel so out of practice. I don't think it's been any longer than usual, but it feels a little weird.
It does, yeah.
Marissa, what are you drinking today?
Oh, what am I drinking? I can definitely tell you exactly what I'm drinking because I'm the tea person here. For
You're
all the
prepared,
people,
though.
For all the people that are new to the podcast, I'm the one that knows all the tea.
Yep.
I am drinking Noor's Zuret and Tea Concoction by Riddle's Tea Shop that Megan brought over.
Yeah, it's from Owl Crate. They have lots of exclusive teas with Riddle's Tea Shop. And that one is based off of the book For Shia's Wrath, which I read this year. And Zorat is like this, it's like these grains. I imagined them like lentils. And each color gives you a different kind of magic. So yeah, it's like Zorat mixed with tea, and if you drink it, you become super powerful. So we'll see you be awesome today, Marissa.
At the end of the episode, she
Heck
just
yeah.
flies away.
It is a sweet chai and rose petals tea, which I like chai teas, and it's good. We made it iced and put a little bit of almond milk in it. Very good.
Okay, Megan, what are you drinking today?
I am going cheap and label. Oh, I could have sworn I bought an Arizona iced tea with a lemon. And now that I'm looking at it, it was actually an Arnold Palmer light, half and half. That is very weird to me. And that's not the first time that that's happened, where I, like the other day, I thought I bought the crackers that was the rosemary and sea salt.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But I bought the, what was it, white cheddar or something? Wow.
Somebody's like possessing you and taking things that they want. That's like,
Since we were talking about
Seriously.
creepy possession shows and
Yes.
stuff
Yeah.
earlier.
So, well, I mean, I love Arnold Palmer, and it has tea in it, so
Yeah,
Yeah.
it counts. It's half tea.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, what are you drinking, Jenna?
I, too, am drinking one of the Owl Crate teas that Megan brought, the Riddle Tea Shop Amina's Blend of Fortune, which is a mango pineapple decaf Ceylon tea. It's really good. I'm drinking it iced, too. It makes a really good iced tea. I kind of want to buy a big thing of it and make like a sun tea with it. I
Yeah.
think it would make a good sun tea.
Basically, when you were like, "Oh yeah, I'm trying this Parisian Parisian Misfits tea," I went on and I was like, "Well, I need to stock up." So I stocked up on that, and then I said, "Let's just see what other tea they have." And so I got more Steeped in Folklore,
Oh, I need
and
to
then
get
I
that,
got, because they're now in big bags, which is really nice.
Yeah.
And then I got these little 2 small ones, which are only available in the small bags, but still. Yeah.
Of course.
So hey, Riddle's Tea Shop, not hashtag not sponsored, but could be.
Yeah.
We'd love to work with you.
Yeah. Owl Crate, you really should be talking to us about sponsorship because you started this all.
You are the reason we're here.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I love Riddle's Tea Shop so far. I don't think I've had any of their teas that I've really been disappointed with.
I've had one. I could not tell you what it was though.
Yeah. Well,
But yeah.
one in many is a lot. Not a lot.
Yes.
Yeah. You have good odds. You're doing well.
It's been a long day.
It's been a long day. My brain is fried. Since we're doing that, I'm going to make someone else start out today because I was going to do this, but apparently I need more preparation to talk today. So today we decided we were going to do something kind of different, kind of fun, where each of us chose a fairy tale and we researched the history on the fairy tale. And we're going to talk about the fairy tale itself, the history of it, the most common known versions of it, and if there's any books that we've read that are retellings of that fairy tale, or if we have any recommendations for retellings of that fairy tale. And yeah, I'm kind of excited to hear what you guys have to say about your guys' books. I found that I went way, way, way too deep with mine because mine is apparently a very big fairy tale.
But we knew that going in.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I mean, there was a bajillion retellings, and I knew that
Yeah.
I was never going to be able to touch on all of that. But the history is really fascinating, and actually, there was a lot I wanted to talk about the history of it with, which I thought was cool. So yeah, well, since I feel like learning something, let's start with Megan.
Okay. But that's the problem because there's actually not really history on mine because it's just so well known, so I don't like know where it came from. But I decided to do the it's either called the Heavenly Maiden and the Woodcutter or the Fairy and the Woodcutter. It just depends on who you ask. And I think Fairy sounds a lot more child friendly than Heavenly Maiden. So if you're going for like a child friendly story, and this one is a Korean folktale that I wanted to kind of dive into. When I was looking at this, I originally wanted to do like Rumpelstiltskin, but then I thought, actually, you know, I'll dive into not my roots, but my history with Korea, and I'll look up some historical Korean folktales. So a couple of them that I wanted to actually go into was the tale of Shimchung, which is the most popular book right now. Is The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea is a retelling of that one. Very, very, very loosely based. But that one is a lot of fun. But I decided that one's too easy, and I feel like a lot of people, if they have read The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea by, I think it was Axio.
That sounds right. I don't
I
remember.
know you've talked about it before, but I don't know.
I think it's her, yeah. That one, I decided to go even more broad for the Western audience, and I decided to do the Heavenly Maiden and the Woodcutter. Let's see. I want to get like just based on the title. What do you guys think it's about?
I immediately got my Western brain out and
Yeah.
thought like Little Red Riding Hood type
Okay.
story. So I just think woodcutter and I think of the like, you know, axeman
Yeah.
that comes in and all of that
Saves
stuff. So
saves her. Yeah.
that was my first thought about what it'd be about.
You said woodcutter, and for some reason my brain just went lumberjack.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's obviously very Western. And then my brain immediately went romance Western with a lumberjack on the title.
Sexy lumberjack.
Sexy lumberjack.
In flannel
stealing
but
the
open.
Heavenly Maiden who's virginal. And
Yes.
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 Jenna and her romances, and I'm talking about cutting open people with an axe.
It really shows you where we're at in our lives.
And if this is your first time listening to this podcast, that
Welcome.
summarizes us very well.
Yep. I want this to be somebody's first episode. I need it to be.
If this is your first episode, please comment.
Please reach out to us and tell us, this is my
Yes.
first episode and I am exactly who you were talking to.
Yep. So a little bit of history that I was able to get from this was, according to some people who did a lot of research on it, they think that in the Korean peninsula, and that includes North Korea, that there's at least 25 slightly different versions of this.
Wow.
So depending on, I mean, obviously there's a lot of different versions of Beauty and the Beast, and there's a lot of different versions of Snow White, and Cinderella and all of those things. So, yeah, but this is considered one of the most famous. And it's, when I asked my husband about it, he was like, oh yeah, that's the one.
Oh, wow.
And then there's a couple others, like there's Dokkaebi, which is like goblin. But I didn't want to look into that because I don't really like the way Dokkaebi sounds in my mouth, so I didn't want to talk about that a lot. But there is a Korean drama about Dokkaebis if you guys want to watch it. It's called, on Netflix, it's called Guardian. Sorry guys, I gotta do a little rant on this. On Netflix, it's called Guardian, but when it was being filmed and releasing, everyone called it Goblin.
Oh,
Interesting.
And so
Weird.
obviously, when you think of the word guardian, it sounds a lot better than freaking goblin.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about, basically it's about this high school girl who falls in love with a 500-year-old man. Played by the guy from
Buffy.
Yeah, and 500 others.
and now every Fae book out there.
Every Fae book out there. It has the guy from Squid Game, if you ever saw Squid Game, who is the one that you play the game against in the subway system before you get into Squid Game. So he is like the goblin guy.
The
who
like
she falls
paper
in love
game
with.
that
Yes.
you
The slap paper game.
yeah.
So he is the main guy in that. He's like one of the most famous actors in Korea. Anyway, back to my story. So I will tell you guys a little bit brief story summarized very roughly of what this story is. So basically, there is a young woodcutter man, and he's just going about his day. He's not married. No big deal. And he suddenly, a deer like runs up to him and is like, oh my gosh, you gotta help me. You gotta help me. A hunter's trying to get me. And I'll like help you out later if you help me now. And the woodcutter's like, oh, okay, sure. Hide in my pile of sticks here. And then a hunter comes by and says, hey, did you see the deer? And the hunter's like, or the woodcutter's like, what? What deer? No. So then the hunter goes on his way. The deer comes out and says, thank you for helping me. I'm going to help you find a wife. I'll be your wingman, basically. So the deer says, if you climb up this mountain, there's these pools at the top of the mountain that these heavenly maidens like to bathe in. And then here's where it gets a little different between the different versions. Some of them say you need to take their wings of one of the maidens and she'll fall in love with you. Another of them is if you take her underwear, she'll fall in love with you. But you have to like come to her rescue and be like, oh no, let me take care of you. Oh, you're trapped here? Oh no.
Wow. What a great lesson for young men.
Exactly. So he decides the next day that he's going to go up. So he climbs the mountain and goes up and he sees these, it depends on the story, but 3 to 4, sometimes just 1, beautiful maidens that are bathing in these pools, and he's, peeping on them. And he decides the youngest one, that was, I rolled my eyes,
Yes.
by the way, for those that can't watch or don't, because we don't have cameras.
All of them, everybody.
So he decides he wants the youngest of the troop, and he finds her underwear and he steals them.
Or her wings.
Or her wings.
I don't know how they just take them, but apparently they could.
They just take them off. Yeah, no big deal.
You gotta air them out a little bit.
Yeah, hang them over the branch to dry.
So he takes it, and then all of the other maidens fly up to heaven. Oh, they come down on a rainbow, by the way.
Oh.
They come down and they bathe on a rainbow, and then they go up. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they're all lesbians,
They're
guys.
all lesbians, and he's going to turn them.
So, sorry, I have to go back. I am a cyclical storyteller, according to my creative writing teacher, so I have to go back a bit. The deer also said, you can keep her, she'll stay with you as long as she bears you 3 to 4 children, and you don't give her back her clothes.
Keep your lady naked and impregnate her.
And then she'll stay with you forever, kind of thing. So there's like a little caveat, because that's important. So, as all the other maidens go back to the rainbow to heaven, the other one is trapped, and she is so sad because she can't go with her family and her friends. And so he rescues her, quote, quote, and comforts her and says, come with me and be my wife. And she's like, okay.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
You didn't steal all my stuff and trap me here.
Which, this is the part that really confuses me. Because later on in the story, she basically knows that he has her clothes. And she, like, begs him to, like, give it back to her because she misses her family in the heaven and she wants to, like, go to her family. And so she's like, please. But there's no way that he ever tells her.
So she just finds out?
Yeah, but somehow.
Blackbeard style?
But there's no part in the story that ever says that he tells her or whatever, but somehow she knows. So anyway, they get married and she has a kid. And then he's like, okay, we got to keep pumping those kids out because I need you to stay with me forever. But then it also says in a lot of the versions that they did actually genuinely fall in love with each other because they got to know each other over time, and she did really, really love him. So eventually it also depends on how many kids they need. It's either 3 or 4, depending on the version. But before she can bear the final child that will like seal her to earth forever, she like keeps begging him for her clothes back. And he finally says, okay, fine. We've had enough kids so far. You're pregnant with my next one, but I'm going to trust you and I'm going to give you your wings or clothes back. So then he does. And she's like, I'm out of here.
Peace.
So she basically takes the kids and goes up to heaven and leaves him. And he is obviously heartbroken. So he realizes, he made a mistake. There's no other mention of her like betraying him and him feeling like, oh, you betrayed me. It was mostly just like, I didn't learn my lesson. I should have waited kind of thing.
I should have held her captive for one more
child. Yeah. So he finally runs into the deer again, the deer that he saved all those years ago. And the deer tells him, you can go to heaven, actually. You can go to heaven. And then another version of the story is you climb a beanstalk. Or another one is if you find this gourd and you hold onto this gourd, it will carry you up to heaven. So in one of those, he does. So he goes up to heaven and he finds out that she is the son of the heavenly, like the Lord of Heaven. Or the daughter, sorry. She is the daughter.
This is
My bad.
really LGBTQ friendly.
She is the daughter of the Lord of Heaven. And the Lord of Heaven. And everyone is excited to see him.
Oh, wow.
And they're like, oh my gosh, you made it. We're so happy to like be reunited. And he's so happy there. And so the Lord of Heaven basically says to him, you know, like, I love that you gave my daughter children, or she gave you children. Anyway, so there was no like anger over having kidnapped her for so long and forcing her to have babies.
It was
None of
just
that.
Like, hey, thanks for abducting my daughter and impregnating her. I love my grandchildren. Come hang out with us.
Yeah. So, but after a while, so he lives in heaven with his family for a very, very long time. And then he realizes my mother's getting old. I need to go back down and see her. So the Lord of Heaven says, here is this dragon/horse creature that will take you down. But the caveat is, in order for you to go down to visit your mother and come back, you can never dismount. You have to stay on the dragon horse.
That
And
seems
so-
intense.
Yes. Lots of rules.
Yeah.
Lots of rules here.
I'm just imagining this dragon horse now scaring his mother to death when he walks in her
Right.
bedroom on her deathbed.
Right. So he goes down to see his mom, and she's so excited to see him, so she gives him a bowl of porridge, but he accidentally spills some hot porridge onto the dragon horse. The dragon horse rears up, and he falls off.
Oh no.
And that's the end.
Oh.
Yep. And then there was like, at the end of the story, there's like, he was so heartbroken. This is one version that I saw. He was so heartbroken that he turned into a rooster. And then that's why roosters climb to the highest point to like watch over their hens. But it's actually because he is wanting to go back to heaven to be with his family.
That's interesting.
Yeah. That's just one version I read.
I was curious. I was like, is there a moral to this fairy tale?
No.
Well, here's the thing is that, and I noticed it with mine, and I'll talk about it when I get to mine, but I think there are a lot of things you can analyze about
Yeah,
it, though,
right.
Exactly.
is what it comes down to of like, I think it does play a lot into like patriarchy
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So you kind of get that feeling of like, okay, no matter what you do, you're doing it to take care of her, and everybody's going to love you for taking care of
Yeah.
her.
Right. And
Even though, from a different perspective and a more modern perspective, it does not look that way.
Yeah. And granted, yes, as I'm telling the story, we are making jokes about it.
Yeah.
With a modern sense. But since this
5,000%
is
we are going to do that with all the fairy
all
tales.
of them,
Yes.
yeah. So it's not that this is because this is such a Korean rooted in like culture and filial piety and all of that kind of things.
Yeah.
Probably I tried to look up and see if it was like Confucian based, because a lot of Koreans like values and the culture itself is based on a lot of Confucian beliefs and doctrines. But I couldn't find anything about that. But I agree. Very much patriarchy.
I do like that they set it up as like, oh, he's a good guy. He's saving this like poor innocent creature. So, you know, he's a good guy. It's
Right.
fine. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
And then like he does these things and he's like told these are the things you're supposed to do
Yeah.
to win a woman. And I put air quotes on that because once again, nobody's actually watching us talk.
Yeah.
But to win a woman. And I think it goes into that thought of like guys being taught the way things are supposed to be by people that don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
By other men.
Other men.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like an older generation of people that don't actually know.
And generally, the idea, I think, in the whole thing seems to be family. Like, the whole idea is, okay, you know, if you do good things, you'll get a family. And if you produce children, you'll keep your family.
Yep.
Right.
And if you, like,
Yeah.
and if you produce children and with your wife, then your in-laws will love you. And it's that kind of thing. Then, yeah.
Yeah.
And listen to your father-in-law. That's really what the plan was. Do not get off the
But-
horse, dragon.
So, like, outside of, I feel like that part, though, was interesting because the first time he didn't follow the rules. He gave her
Oh, yeah, he
underwear,
eventually-
her wings
Yeah.
before her final child was born or whatever it was. But the final, like, rule of don't get off the horse, that was a complete accident.
Yeah.
I guess, maybe the moral is be careful of eating porridge on a horse.
Well,
that could be the moral.
but the thing is, yes, he didn't follow the rules and he lost.
Yeah.
Like, and so I think that was a thing of like,
Right.
he didn't follow the rules, and then he lost something, so he had to work to get it back.
Right.
So
The moral of the story is if you don't follow the rules, you'll live with your in-laws, and if you don't follow the rules, you're stuck.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just thought that was a really interesting story. And it's one that, even though it's like taught to children from such a young age, and I mean, we have all of those horrible, horrible children's stories that we like, Humpty Dumpty.
Right.
oh yeah,
That was one funny story. I told Hanson the Humpty Dumpty rhyme, and he's like, I think that's fake. I think you just made it up. Because the name Humpty Dumpty sounds so ridiculous. And then I said, yeah, he's an egg. And he was like, well, he's always depicted as an egg. He's never told that he's an
said
egg.
that he's an egg.
But he's always depicted as an egg. And he was like, that sounds absolutely ridiculous. And I showed him like pictures on my phone, and he was like, I don't know.
I
That's
still
weird.
think he made it up.
quickly drew those.
Yeah.
Posted them.
Posted them on the internet.
Yep.
And then came up with a rhyme when I
You built a whole backstory
severely dislike poetry. Yeah.
from like middle school. This has been your end game is coming
Yeah.
up with Humpty Dumpty and convincing your husband that it's real.
But also his favorite English word is itty bitty.
That's so cool.
So maybe he thinks that that's where I was like, I just made up a silly word like itty bitty.
Yeah.
Anyway, so going through all of these that, I think every culture has their own folk tales and their own
Right.
like fairy tales that you teach children. A lot of them are rooted in like morals of like, hey, listen to your parents, or, do all of this. So I thought this was really interesting that this one didn't have a direct, like straight up in your face moral
Mm-hmm.
of like Little Red Riding Hood, don't talk to strangers kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting, and that this is just a fun little, just a cute little fairy tale. It's not really, well, for children it could be very cute.
it's cutesy. It's
It's
made to be cutesy. It's a fairy
Yes.
tale. It falls in line with fairy tales.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fairy tales, the more you dig into them, the less cutesy they are as adults, and you look back and go, wow, what are we teaching our young children?
Right.
But at the same time, they're adorable.
I also thought it was so interesting that this makes me think of selkies
Yeah.
and like seal
Taking
women.
their
Taking their
skin.
pelts.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we had like the whole Jack and the Beanstalk where like he has to climb a beanstalk up to heaven
Yeah.
to retrieve his quote quote riches. And so it's so interesting to me that, these can cross boundaries or have overlapping
Mm-hmm.
kind of ideas.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm curious to know if like selkies are based off of these, or if it's like every culture has their own version of a dragon
Yeah.
kind of thing. That, did they just see dinosaur bones and was like, oh, dragons. So yeah, I always just thought, I thought that was really cool.
I will say that made me very curious to like read this story, because now like going into this topic and everything, it made me very curious to read like fairy tales and get the like adult message out of it versus the
Right.
kids message. So
Right.
that made me very curious about it.
So
Do they have any retellings, famous retellings?
not specifically Korean retellings, but some similar in the similar vein was Uprooted by Naomi Novik
Mm-hmm.
was one, and then Silver in the Wood by Emily Tesh, and then Wicked Lovely by Melissa Marr, which I
Oh
think
yeah,
we read
that. We
Yeah.
read that.
Yeah.
As kids.
So it's like very loosely. So
Yeah.
obvious. I highly doubt that these people saw this Korean folk tale and was like, I'm gonna rewrite that. Because
I don't know.
mean,
There might be a lumberjack one out there.
there
I'm just
probably
saying.
is. But because I feel like recently a lot of Korean writers have finally achieved their well-deserved acknowledgments, I guess, where a lot of readers are loving them. I wouldn't mind an adult version or like even a young adult version of this story, to see what people can come up with
Yeah.
for retelling it. Maybe from the fairy / heavenly maiden's point of view.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
That probably would be the more popular one nowadays,
obviously.
would
Right.
be from her point of view.
And if we could make it gay. I mean,
Dude,
or
or
you
bi
can't
at
have
least.
children, though. She's a heavenly maiden. They can have kids.
Yeah, I think I definitely think those heavenly maidens were gay. They came on a rainbow. She tried to run away to her lesbian lover, and he chased her down. And
Right.
she had to tell Dad, like, "Oh yeah, that's my husband. Look, I did the right thing."
So that's Marissa's version.
Sorry.
My personal version is I did like that eventually they did fall in love because, you know, even though it came under circumstances that we would not approve of today, there's some, insinuations of love there.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Speaking of Stockholm syndrome,
Should we go?
Okay,
into mine?
question. How many of these have Stockholm syndrome?
Quite a bit, I'm sure.
oh,
2/3?
Oh.
All right. Lay it on us, Jenna, whoever you are.
Okay. Whoever I am.
I was
Okay.
doing so well. Nearly, 3 years of this? 2 years of this? Of us doing this, and have we
Finally-
even hit? We hit over a year, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, guys.
yeah, easily.
Look, guys, I have notes.
I know.
I
I,
did
have notes,
homework.
and I have like screenshot notes.
Oh yeah, I have screenshots too. I tried to summarize them in my notes here, and then I was like, see your pictures.
Yeah, I have that written down in my notes, too.
See your
Look at
pictures over
phone.
here. Maybe we're gonna have to post these pictures with our.
I think we
on our
should,
Instagram.
yeah.
Okay, so I did Beauty and the Beast, which is like one of the most popular, I think, and most
In
redone
Western culture, at
in
least.
Western culture.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, in Western culture for sure, but it like takes over the globe if you look back at it.
Right.
So I'm gonna start with this way. So Elizabeth Harries wrote a book, and the book was called Twice Upon a Time: Women Writers and the History of the Fairy Tale. And in that book, she essentially said that there are two types of fairy tales, and at least in the 18th century. And that's fantastical romances for adults and didactic tales for children. And didactic means essentially like teaching a lesson. It's a teachable tale for children. And what's most interesting about Beauty and the Beast is that it's both. So originally, when Beauty and the Beast was originally written, or at least the first generally believed version of Beauty and the Beast to actually be written, was in 1740 by Gabrielle Suzanne de Villeneuve. Gabrielle Suzanne de Villeneuve, and then her maiden name was Barbeau, I think. So sometimes it's Gabrielle Suzanne de Barbeau de Villeneuve. And she wrote a novella version that was about 100 pages long that was aimed for adults. I will bring this up.
Yes.
It is intense.
Did you read it?
I read the condensed version of
Okay.
it. The whole 100 pages in a week would have been a little bit much for me, I think. And it's not exactly easy to find, interestingly enough. And then Jean-Marie Le Prince de Beaumont in 1756, shortly after, took her original story and abridged it and rewrote it and published it for children. And that's the most commonly retold version of it. And so essentially in the original one, it goes, interestingly, okay, here's the funny thing for me, is in the original one, Beauty is one of 12 children, 6 boys and 6 girls. And then Beaumont is just like, yeah, let's cut that in half, 6 children. Like, because you know,
easier to manage.
that's a little more easy to manage. I don't need this many characters. But so it's kind of it kind of goes into a lot more of the like, oh, the like the fluffiness of the household and everything. So when she's taken by the beast, it kind of goes a little bit more in depth in it, and that's why it's a longer book. But it's the same story that most of us kind of know, where the father was a merchant and he lost his fortune with his ships, and then they found one of the ships and they were like, oh good, you found a ship. And so the father went off to collect his fortune and asked his children, what do you want? He asked his daughters, his 3 daughters, what do they want? And all of her sisters were like, bring me jewels, bring me gold, bring me silk clothes, you know, I want beautiful things, because they were all kind of frivolous. And Beauty was like, I just want a rose. And so, well, she was like, I don't want anything. And he's like, you must want something, because you're my favorite and I love you the most. And she was like, fine, if you must bring me anything, bring me a rose. And when he gets there, there's no wealth. There's none of that. I believe that in most stories, it was his partners sold off all the wealth. And so he had nothing for him to bring home for his other daughters, but he was insistent on bringing Beauty a rose. But he comes home, or he's headed home, and he gets lost in the woods, and there's a big storm, and he finds a castle. And the castle is set out for him to enjoy all the splendors of the castle and take care of him. And there's a mysterious absent benefactor taking care of him. And on his way out, he sees
Dracula.
Yes. And on his way out, he sees a rose garden, and he sees a beautiful rose, and he plucks it. And at that point, the beast attacks him. And how dare you take my one precious thing, my rose, when I've given you everything else? And he's like, it's not for me, it's for my daughter. I must, I had to bring it home for her. And the beast says, fine, but if you want to go home and be free, then you must send me back one of your daughters, but they must be willing. They must know the whole story and know that they're coming in their place. And so when he goes home, all of his other daughters are like, no way. And Belle's like, absolutely, I will go take your place. Sure, I can do that for you.
And he's like, I don't care about the other daughters. I only care about you.
He's like, darn, you took the good one.
And so she goes and she stays at this castle, and there's all these animal servants that take care of her and all of this stuff. And the beast is asks her every night to marry him, and he's kind of dim-witted and dull, and she doesn't really like him. And she says no every night. And she goes to sleep, and she dreams of this beautiful prince and a magical fairy, and this beautiful fairy telling her that she should marry this prince and blah, blah, blah. And so she starts falling in love with the prince in her dreams. And then after asking to go back and see her family, he's like, yeah, sure, you can go. Sounds familiar, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And so he lets her go. And he's like, but you have to come back. And this is where they change up. One of it's like in 2 months. One of it has to be in 2 weeks or whatever. Either way, her sisters and family like distract her and convince her to not come there in time. In I think the original one, it was because they were jealous, and then later it's just they just distracted her because they distracted her. And they were like, and they wanted the beast to eat her. They were hoping that if she was late, the beast would eat her because they were so jealous of all of her treasures and everything.
So if he eats her, I can go.
Right. I don't really like her. How dare she get these treasures? I hope he eats her.
You had the opportunity.
Right. And so either way, she ends up being late, and she dreams of the fairy, and the fairy tells her that she's running late, or she dreams of him dying somehow, and depending on the things, because sometimes the fairy doesn't exist, the other telling. And then she rushes to his side, finds him dying, and like revives him.
Why was he dying?
Well, it doesn't really tell you.
Okay, broken heart.
Just dying a broken heart or whatever.
He's Padme.
And so
Palpatine.
Oh, so essentially, she is rushing to his side because he's dying of a broken heart, or his curse or whatever is killing him. And she revives him and agrees to marry him. And then, lo and behold, it's the prince this whole time, and he's not actually a beast.
Agatha all along.
Agatha all along.
I really hope our listeners know all of these.
All these weird references.
Anyway.
So, that's pretty much where Beaumont's version ends. Villeneuve is like, okay, well, he turns into a prince, and out comes his queen mother and a good fairy who explained that he had been under a curse from an evil fairy who he was left in the care of as a child because his father died, and the queen, his queen mother, had to wage a war. So she left her son with this evil fairy who, upon his maturity, decided she was going to seduce him and marry him. Court of Thorn and Roses. And that she was going to make him hers. And when he rejected her, she put a curse on him and made him a beast.
As one does.
As one does.
I find that interesting because this is the second person that...
The first one. So this is the original.
Okay, because that's what I was going to say. It was like, I didn't know much about the original story.
Yeah.
Like, I assumed there was a lot of big beats that matched, like, you know, Disney and stuff. But the thing that I always assumed was in the original was the, like, witch that curses him because he rejects her.
But it gets better. So the queen mother goes, yeah, but I'm sorry, you're a merchant's daughter. You're pretty much a commoner, and he was poor, so you can't marry my son. And the good fairy goes, no, wait. She's actually my daughter. And the prince's cousin, she's royalty. I was married to this other king, fairy king, and we had a child, and she's essentially a changeling. No. And
that's dope.
Because
what a plot
she was
twist.
also cursed by the evil fairy to marry a beast. So all curses are settled by her marrying the beast and him becoming a beast and having the maiden fall in love with him.
Was he still a beast when they got married though?
Oh,
no,
well, when she agreed to marry, I think when they got married, he changed back. But
true love's kiss or whatever.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, so essentially it's like, let me go into her backstory, and she's actually royalty this whole time. It's fine. Princes don't marry commoners, guys. They just don't.
Yeah. I always like those ones where it's like, here's this whole drawn out story, and at the very end we have to make it make sense, kind of. So let's just throw backstory into it that's not relevant, but is relevant at the end.
But it's like, oh, but thank you for the merchant for taking care of them. So we're actually going to like bring you in as her court. So they got to be a part of the court,
but not the sisters,
also,
right?
I don't even know. I guess that's
the
family.
sisters.
Yeah, something bad must have happened to them. They got cut in half, eaten by the beast.
Yeah, but that's what I find very fascinating. Is most retellings follow, they follow Lang's version, which is a rewriting of Beaumont's version. So Andrew Lang, wrote the Blue Fairy book, which is the most common book that people reference for most of these fairy tales. And the Blue Fairy book had things like Cinderella, Snow White, and this telling of Beauty and the Beast.
Pinocchio,
I believe too,
because Pinocchio had a blue fairy.
Yeah.
So Andrew Lang in 1891, so almost over 100 years later, he went back to her original book and used it as the Blue Fairy book. And so he pretty much took it and took the adult version and said, I'm going to actually revolutionize it for young readers and make it a little better. And so he like mixed the two, kind of. So if you go back, the book that I have from Barnes and Noble in the like nice, beautiful classic style is Lang's version.
Oh, okay.
From the Blue Fairy. That's the most common one you're going to find, or Beaumont's. I really want to read the other one though.
So Beauty and the Beast was not a grim fairy tale.
No,
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So that being said, Beauty and the Beast pretty much like they think that her reference, this is where I have to go into my pictures now. They think she took her what's it called? When you get inspiration. Her inspiration from the story of Petrus Gonsalves, which I'm probably messing up.
Given that you stuttered on it,
yes.
Yeah, probably.
Petrus Gonsalves, I'm guessing, who was born, it was a true story, he was born in the Canary Islands in 1537, and he had hypertrichosis.
Isn't that, Angela talked about that when she was on our...
I was going to say, so this is the book that she was reading.
Yeah.
And she's saying was the original Beauty and the Beast. This is what they think she took her inspiration from, was his story. He,
Wait, pause here. For those that want reference to what episode we're talking about.
Yes.
Okay, for anyone who's interested, and hearing a bit more about what Angela has to say. It's at the very end of our Volume 1, Chapter 28, The Unmaking of June Farrow, where we featured Angela on our episode. Yeah. So she talks about it at the end of that episode for what book she's reading. And she goes into a lot of detail about that like story. So yeah, give that one a listen.
Yeah, so essentially to summarize that story, he was born, he was covered in hair, and he was actually sold to King Henry and Catherine de Medici. So he was sold to them, and they like took pity on him and thought, you know what, we're gonna do an experiment. We're gonna teach him. He can be taught. So he's essentially a beast, but we're gonna teach him, and he can read and write, and then they found a servant girl to marry him, and they were apparently very happy together.
Yeah, that sounds familiar now that you're talking about it. I remember Angela talking about it.
Yeah.
So that was where they think she got a lot of her inspiration, but also from Psyche and Eros. It's Cupid and Psyche, and that was from the 2nd century CE. And it's by Apelles. It was from their Latin novel Metamorphosis.
Oh yeah, I know about that one.
Yeah, you guys have that on your shelf, right?
No, I've heard of it.
No, so that one was like one of the original tellings of not Beauty and the Beast, because Beauty and the Beast is actually its own thing, but what the original kind of story was. Where the maiden was cursed to pretty much take care of a beast that she could never know was a beast. And then she went to go do these things. So interestingly, that one is a little bit more tied to the East and the West, the setting in the East and rising in the West one or whatever, that Angela was really interested in, which is actually just another retelling of Beauty and the Beast. But it kind of pretty much took over the world, the story of Beauty and the Beast. And if you look it up, there's literally just like pages and pages of tellings from Central Europe, Italy, Belgium and the Netherlands, Portugal. Like, it just kind of went all over the place. They had like operas about it. They have so many plays, so many books, so many movies. Like, it just kind of blew up. So even if I wanted to, I wouldn't be able to list all of the retellings of Beauty and the Beast. Some of the most well-known ones are like Beauty by Robin McKinley and Rose's Daughter, which are retellings of Beauty and the Beast. Beastly, Curse So Dark and Lonely.
Yes.
That's the first one.
Yeah.
And obviously A Court of Thorn and Roses. The thing that I find interesting is how much A Court of Thorn and Roses ties to the original version.
I was thinking that as you were telling us, I was just like, I kind of like the original version better, because the one that I know the best obviously is Disney.
Yeah.
Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, and how can I forget talking about Disney's Beauty and the Beast?
But I thought it was interesting how much more in depth the original is. I mean, obviously it is.
Yes.
But I thought that was pretty cool.
I think it's funny because I want to read the original one.
Yeah.
I think that would be so much more interesting. I want the whole backstory. I want all the crazy like little things. And then I thought that's funny because as I'm reading the summary of the original one, I'm like, oh, A Court of Thorn and Roses pulled from that. It pulled from that. It had the sisters that, kind of held her back and were kind of frivolous. It had the fact that her dad was considered the prince of merchants or whatever. And then it even has the whole fairy aspect of it, which ties into it. And then, spoiler alert, if you haven't read Court of Thorn and Roses, the whole surprise, now she's a fairy.
Yeah.
So it has like all these different like levels to it that I thought was interesting. So I was like, wow, that actually like ties back to the actual original version rather than just the Disney version that we hear all the time. Which makes me, I literally just reread A Court of Thorn and Roses or re-listened to it. It makes me almost want to go back and be like, that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really cool.
I also find it interesting because just based off of the name for Villeneuve, is that sounds, Portuguese or Spanish or something like that, where I obviously, because of the Disney version, I would have expected the original to be like French or something.
Yeah.
I think it was originally French. I think they were both originally French. But she may have had Spanish ties with her husband because her original name was Barbeau.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, it talks about like there's so many more, like in Russia they have the girl who marries a serpent. Oh, and that's a whole other thing that I wanted to go into. Okay. So
we love this.
So here's the thing though. So what happened with Beauty and the Beast is it pretty much sorry.
Hey, if this is your first episode, Jenna and I are sisters and I have to make fun of her.
And you're just now finding out about it 2/3 of the way through our show.
Yeah.
So Beauty and the Beast is part of what is known as animals as husbands in fairy tales.
Husbandry. Animal husbandry. I've always wanted to know that.
Okay, so animal husbandry is not what it's called, but it's funny because I started to type it as animal husbandry when I was trying to look it up, and I go, that's not what I'm looking for.
That's not what you're looking for.
Furries.
Oh, God.
Furries.
But, like, only one of them is.
Yeah. So it's, like, the Frog Prince, or, you know, it's the idea they end up marrying an animal of some sort. That is
Girls of Paper and Fire.
Yeah, Girls of Paper and Fire.
Sorry. That's a messed up one.
So all of these tales and these fairy tales essentially are metaphors for sex. And they're all teaching women that it's scary and it may look ugly, but once you kiss the prince, everything's beautiful and you'll love it. So it's like teaching virginal women that it's not too bad.
Interesting.
Oh, goodness. Okay, so then Russia was like, the snake.
Yeah. Russia was like, we're taking this really literal, guys.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, like they have all these different, essentially Beauty and the Beast was kind of the turning point for a lot of those animal husbandry, husband animals as bridegrooms.
There you go.
They called it fairy tales, and it kind of like inspired them all over Europe. And so sometimes it was a snake, sometimes it was a lion, sometimes it was a bear, sometimes
the Bee Movie.
It was a mix of everything. the Bee Movie. I literally have not watched that, but now
now you know that is the plot.
She falls in love with a bee.
That was one of those like reference to last episode of like the villain was right. Like, her boyfriend was super right to be upset about this.
Oh gosh.
But yeah, so that is the original tale of the Beauty and the Beast, and pretty much your history lesson on fairy tales.
And sexual education lesson while you're at it.
Yeah. We'll dabble in it.
It's funny because, so I remember in college having an English class, and my teacher was like, yeah, fairy tales are all supposed to teach lessons. Like the Frog Prince is sex isn't as gross as you think it is. And I was just like, whoa, what? Like, and ever since I've never been able to look at the Frog Prince the same. But when I looked up the thing, like I heard my teacher again in my brain telling me that. And I was like, oh, it's all like this. It's either scary or gross, but don't worry, it's not actually scary or gross, because once you commit to it, it's beautiful. Essentially what they're teaching you.
No, Girls of Paper Fire was scary and gross the entire time.
Yeah. The entire time.
Girls of Paper Fire, like, sex makes lesbians.
Sex with men makes lesbians.
That's our hashtag this episode. Our title.
Marissa, let's jump into your fairy tale. Which one did you do for us
All
today?
right. So I'm curious of how much do you guys know about the Snow Queen?
Once Upon a Time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think I got through that one on Once Upon a Time. I do know that Frozen originally was supposed to follow the Snow Queen, and she was originally supposed to be a bad guy, and then they sang Let It Go and went, actually, let's make her a good guy.
Yep.
And that's pretty much what I know about the Snow Queen.
That was one of my fun facts that I was going to say for the end of it, but Jenna's already got
Sorry,
it.
I took over your fun fact.
Yeah, no, it's true. It was, Frozen was originally supposed to be the Snow Queen, and I want you guys to think about Frozen when I tell you the story of this, because it is not.
Well, I mean, in all fairness, all fairy tales are like definitely not what Disney did to them.
100%. But I also think it's interesting because when I was reading this, because I read the story too, I was like, okay, none of this is Frozen. And I'm like, wait, that little thing's in Frozen, and that little thing's in Frozen.
Olaf is in Frozen.
Olaf is not in the Snow Queen.
Dang.
Olaf, fun fact about that was not going to be one of my fun facts, but Olaf, apparently the name for Olaf was meant to be a, like, fourth wall break type thing of he's the comic relief, so, laugh.
Oh!
I love it.
Genius.
Yeah. But anyways, so I figured I'd summarize the tale for you as we've all done. My notes make no sense, but they will help jog my memory, hopefully.
Granted, my notes were like, needs 3 to 4 children. He can be her quote quote rescuer.
Well, the first thing in my notes, other than so The Snow Queen is by Hans Christian Andersen.
Okay.
Which again, fun fact for Frozen, the names came from his name. So Hans, Anna, Sven, Kristoff.
That's
That's
cool.
really
Yeah,
cool.
That's cool.
So
Except for Elsa.
yeah, Elsa was different. But yeah, Hans, Kristoff, Anna, Sven.
Then.
Hans Christian Andersen. So it stands out because it's one of the few chaptered ones, and it's kind of a bit longer, I guess, for some of his. But it's got 7 chapters to it. And in the first chapter, the first chapter is kind of like a prologue, and it talks about the devil, which appears as a hobgoblin.
Okay.
So what are you doing, Jenna?
I just thought you made a really cute picture right there, and I really wanted to take it. Sorry.
Thanks. Got a little distracted. Anyways, so the devil, who is the shape of a hobgoblin in this world, or in the story, so he creates this fantastic invention. He's super proud of this invention. It's a mirror that reflects and distorts all the bad things. So, like, instead of being the fairest of them all, as I like to say,
It was the worst of them all.
it was the worst of them all. So, like, he would show it to, like, people, and this is literally, like, a quote from it of, like, if somebody had a freckle, the freckle would, like, grow and cover their, like, nose and face, so it just looked really, like, messed up and everything. And it did that for people, it did it for objects, it just made everything look bad and just reflected the worst of everything. And so he's giggling, thinking this is hilarious and an amazing invention, and then he gets the bright idea of, like, I'm going to take this up to heaven and reflect the worst of the angels back at them. So he and his, like, little demons are climbing up to go to heaven, because you can just
beanstalk?
climb.
Yes.
I don't think it specifies, but it just, like, you climb, and they're going up to heaven, and the
A
closer
stairway to
and
heaven.
closer they're stairway to heaven. But the closer and closer they're getting to heaven, this, like, mirror is, like, growing and, like, shaking and becoming unstable. And as they get to the very top, it falls and shatters into hundreds of billions of thousands of millions of just so many different pieces of different shapes and sizes. And some of the pieces are like windows, like they could be window panes and they become windows, but when you look through them, you see the distortion and the terrible things. Some pieces are like spectacles that people wear, and then it says like that people who feel they are justified will wear them and see the worst in things. And then the worst part, though, is that it could be the tiniest little speck that could get in your eye or your heart.
That happened in Once Upon a Time.
Mm-hmm. But the devil thought this was still hilarious because now it's all over the world, spread all over the world, and it's causing this chaos with people down there. And that's basically the end of chapter 1, prologue.
Okay.
But it's chapter 1, but it's basically a prologue. So, chapter 2, you meet the 2 main characters. Gerda, and the guy's name changes. I'm going to go with Kai, because I like that one better, but, like, sometimes it's translated and it's K, and different ways of spelling it. But I'm going to say Kai for this. Yep, your dog. So Gerda and Kai are these 2 kids that live in this, like, really condensed town, and they live side by side. And they're so close to each other that the buildings, like, if they open their windows, there's a tiny little, like, strip of garden of, like, rose flowers, but they can just hop from window to window to go to each other's houses. And it's described that they were not siblings, but they loved each other as such, and they were so close to each other that they were like siblings. So they grow up, they love each other, all of that fun stuff. They play together. They ask Gerda's grandmother about the snow bees, and like, if there's snow bees, does that mean there's snow queens, like queen bees? And the grandmother says yes, and she's wicked, and you have to be careful and stay away from her. And all of those like scary stories that kids
I don't
get
know
told.
why you said snow bees, and I thought, are they snow A's? And then I was like, it took me a long time to like follow bees and queen and go to like, oh, bugs.
Yeah. So yeah, the grandmother basically warns them to stay away from the Snow Queen because she's evil. Well, one day, Kai's kind of going out and about, and he thinks he sees her, but isn't 100% sure. But while he's out and playing, he gets a speck of the mirror in his eye. And I believe there's some tellings that he gets it in his heart as well. And those that get in their heart becomes as cold as ice. But he gets it in his eyes, and he starts to just see like ugly things all around him. Everything's ugly. The roses are wilting. They're no longer pretty. He always says, "Why do you love those roses so much? They're like, look at all the like rot on them." And as he's going about town, he starts becoming like cruel to people, and he's becoming cruel to Gerda.
Oh no.
And kind of just being a jerk. And he starts doing like impressions of people to make fun of them. But his impressions are so good that people are like, wow, look how clever he is, because he does those impressions so well. But really, he's just kind of being a jerk. And one day he decides to go out with some of the other boys, and he takes his sled with him. And basically, do you guys know, like, in skateboarding, when people will, like, grab the back of a truck, of, like, the rear bumper of a truck and, like, slide or skate behind it? That's basically what they're doing with the sleds, is they're, like, going up to these, like, merchant wagons and stuff like that and, like, hitching onto them to sled behind them.
Trucks, obviously. Hans Christian Andersen had trucks that were taking this.
Yeah, trucks. So he hooks up to one of these merchant wagons, and it's supposed to just be like, going around town, having fun, then you unhook before you go too far. But he hooks up to one of these, and they start going, and they're going past the gates. And he just decides to stay on. He keeps going, and this like hooded figure that is taking him past these gates. And once they get pretty far away, the hooded figure reveals themselves to be the Snow Queen.
She's a queen bee.
Dun.
Yeah. And
this is feeling kind of Chronicles of Narnia.
Yeah.
So, fun fact about that, a lot of people think that Chronicles of Narnia was inspired by the Snow Queen as well.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
Am I just ruining all your fun facts?
Yes.
I'll stop talking.
It's a sister thing. So yeah, she's like, oh man, you're so cold. Look at how cold you are. And like, he's starting to shiver and freeze out there. And so she starts,
offering him Turkish delight.
no, she like kisses his forehead. And, like, it doesn't make him any warmer, but it kind of starts numbing him to the cold. And she kisses him like 2 or 3 times and then says like, I have to stop because if I do it too much, then it's going to hurt you or something like that. And then he disappears. Chapter 3. He's been gone for a while. Everybody's like, he's dead. Gerda's mourning him. The rumor is that he went to the river, fell into the river, and died.
Oh, no.
So Gerda takes her fancy shoes, her fancy boots, and goes to the river and begs the river to give them back and says, if you give them back, I will give you my shoes. Did you take them? If you give them back, I'll give you my shoes. The waves are lapping, and the way that the like waves go, she thinks like it's telling her like, yeah. So she throws her shoes in, and they come right back to shore. And so she throws them harder, and they come right back to shore. And so there's this boat that's on the river that's like sticking out towards the river. So she runs to the end of the boat to throw the shoes in the middle, thinking I need to get it even further in. And the boat slips away and starts going in the river with her on it. And now she's riding and rushing down this river, not knowing where she's going. As she goes down the river, she runs into this old woman with a beautiful garden and tells her story of like, my friend Kai, he's missing, all of that stuff. Could you please help me? I've been stuck in this boat in the middle of the river. And the old woman likes Gerda so much and doesn't want her to leave that she dabbles in a little bit of magic and makes Gerda forget everything.
Oh, snap.
Yeah. But she knows from Gerda's story that roses were their flower in between their houses, so she goes over to the roses and makes the roses go back into the earth.
She's like, don't remind her.
Yeah.
Don't remind her.
The problem is she forgot that she has a rose on her hat, and Gerda sees the rose, and she's like, why don't you have any roses in this garden? And she runs out to where the roses are, and she starts remembering Kai and why she was out there, and she starts crying, thinking, I've wasted all of this time hanging out with this woman. And her tears bring the roses back up. And so she's crying, she's telling the roses, oh, I'm sorry, I was missing my friend, he died. And the roses go, he's not dead.
We know.
Yeah, they're like, we just came from underground, and underground's where all the dead things are, and he wasn't down there.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So she starts running to all the other flowers and asking them about Kai. Like, what do you know about Kai? What do you know about Kai? All of them have stories. They're actually written down stories. None of them have anything to do with Kai. And she gets frustrated. She'll go to the next flowers. She'll go to the tulips. And
It's like in D&D when Angela communes with the plants.
Yes.
And they're basically just like, we only know what we see right in front of us because we can't move.
Yep. And so she's just like going to all these different flowers trying to find something out, and none of them have anything to say. So she's like, whatever, I give up. He's alive somewhere, so I'm going to go try to find him. And so she sets off. Chapter 4, she runs into a crow, and she asks the crow about Kai. Like, hey, do you know anything about this? And he's like, I might know, but it's kind of hard. Like, do you speak crow?
That sounds like Ryan.
Yes. 100%. He's like, do you speak crow? Because it'd be a lot easier for me to describe this for you in crow. And she's like, I don't. My grandmother does, but I don't.
This does feel like D&D.
Yeah.
And so the crow goes, okay, well, he might be, I know about this princess who just chose a prince, and he's got this long hair, and she's like, that sounds like Kai. And this like darker skin, that sounds like Kai. And he had these shoes that were squeaking all the time. She's like, he just got new boots that would always squeak. That's Kai. And so the crow explains like, well, the princess, she asked the question, why shouldn't I get married? And then decided that whatever man can answer that question for her, she would marry him.
Okay.
Yeah. And the idea of this was, like, she's, like, sets this out. So all these people line up for days trying to get the chance to, like, talk to her and explain it and why she should marry them. But every time they go up, they'd just be speechless when they were in her presence.
Because she's so beautiful, or?
Just from, like, you know, it was far beyond their station. Like, They couldn't, like, they got so nervous they couldn't come up with anything to say. Until the third day when this beggar boy comes in.
And all he sees is the worst.
Well, no. He just comes in and he's just like basically making himself at home and talking to the staff around there and is able to talk to her. And so she decides, I'm going to marry this guy. Well, the crow's like, and Gerda's like, that's him. I got to go get him. And she's like, how do I get there? And the crow's like, well, my fiance is, my lady friend is, over there, and she knows the back way into the castle. So if you go meet with her, she'll show you where the key is. You can go in and go see him. So she goes there. She meets with the crow's fiance. They go into the castle, and she sees the prince laying down. Same hair, dark skin. So she screams out, Kai! And the boy turns around, and it's not him.
Oh.
And she tells the prince and the princess her story about Kai, and they are so moved by the story that they're like, we're going to help you. We'll give you a carriage, we'll give you all these riches and stuff like that so you can go travel and go find him. And being grateful for the crows, she told the crows, like, thank you so much for helping her and bringing her here, because they were understanding in that. So they're like, so you get the choice of, do you want to, you know, be able to fly free forever, or do you want a place in the court? And they chose a place in the court for the stability of it. because they were planning on getting married and everything. But the male crow goes with her and travels to the next destination. Next chapter. It's called The Robber Girl. Her carriage gets robbed. And the robbers are like, oh, look at this one. Like, she's so, like, young and fattened and blah, blah, blah. And, like, they're basically going to do something horrible to her. But this little robber girl goes, no, I want to keep her. She'll be my friend. And so she convinced them to let her keep her. This little robber girl is, like, obsessed with knives, by the way. And they take them back to, like, their robber castle camp thing. It's, like, all rundown camp, but, like, in a castle. And the whole robber girl's talking about, like, look at all these birds I have. Like, I keep them here in these cages. And then takes her over to this reindeer. And she's like, look at this reindeer I have. I keep him here by tickling him with my knife under the neck to remind him to stay here.
A sadist.
Yes, 100%. This little robber girl is a sadist. And so they all lay down, and Gerda's crying, and Gerda tells her the story of Kai and what she's doing. Well, that kind of moves the robber girl a little bit. And then the reindeer chimes in and goes, well, I bet he's in Lapland, which is the big icy area and stuff. And I'm sure he went over that way. And the little robber girl decides, okay, I will let you go with the reindeer, because he's from Lapland, to go find your friend Kai. Like, I'll get you guys out of here. But you guys have to sneak out of here. So when all the guys are out, all the robbers are out going and robbing, my mom stays here, but she goes and she takes a drink and then passes out for a little while. So when she passes out, then you guys can go run away. And that's basically leading to the next chapter. She goes, takes the reindeer, she says thank you, and they run away. Next chapter, they go to Lapland. They meet with two different women. The first woman is the Lap woman, who says, oh, you'll actually want to talk to the Finn woman. She's probably the one that's going to find them for you. But the thing is that when they get there, Sven is the one telling the story. Not Sven. I keep saying Sven. It's a reindeer. It's not Sven, but it's Sven. The reindeer comes up and introduces them and then tells his own story first, because that's more important.
Oh my
and
gosh.
then tells the story of Kai and Gerda. And then they go to the Finn woman and does the same thing. And the Finn woman says, well, the Snow Queen probably has him. This is where the Snow Queen is, where she lives, and where you'll have to go find him. And the reindeer asks the Finn woman, like, hey, I know you can, like, make these teas or these drinks that help people, that, like, give them, like, power-ups, basically. I was like, could you please give her something to help her to,
That
like,
sounds like your
save
tea
them?
right now.
Yeah, my power-up tea. I was like, can you please make this drink to help her go save Kai? And the Finn woman goes, there's nothing I can make. What she needs to save him, she already has.
Oh. The power was in her all along.
Yep.
She is the chosen one.
So she has to go up there and she has to do it on her own, the way that, with what she has. And so he says thank you, and they set off to the Snow Queen. Final chapter. I told you it's a long one.
It is a long one, but it's interesting because I didn't know it was this long.
Yeah. So final chapter, they jump over to Kai.
Mm-hmm.
Kai is with the Snow Queen in this castle that is described as very cold and very, like, opposite of fun. Like, they'll talk about, like, there's no nice warm banquets, no dancing people, nothing like that. It's all very still and cold and not fun. And Kai's there, and he's got this puzzle that he's working on. And they say it's like the Chinese type puzzles that people would have in those days, where he, like, moves characters around. He can make different words with them. And he was told by the Snow Queen, if he can find a way to make the word eternity, then she'll release him. And so he's spending the entire time trying to make that word. He can't make that word.
This is a job for the characters from Babel.
Yeah. So he's there, and he's trying to work on it, and he's just not getting it. And the Snow Queen says, like, I'm gonna go out for a little bit, I'll be back. She leaves. When she leaves, Gerda shows up. And Gerda sees him, and he's like blue, frozen, like really looking really bad. But he sees her, and she sees him, and she starts singing their childhood song to him. And singing the song makes him cry, which releases the fragment of the mirror that was in his eye. And it releases the fragment that was in his heart, and the ones that say it's in his heart too. And they fall to the ground, and she's so happy, and she runs up, she gives him a kiss and everything, and hugs him. And they start dancing because they're so happy to see each other, and they're so happy, and the fragments on the ground start dancing too around them. And as they start dancing, they form the word eternity. So he is now released, and they make their way back, and on their way back, they run into the Finn woman and the Lap woman, and they run into the little robber girl who's no longer a little robber girl. She has set out and done her own thing. She's got a pistol now. And,
she's like, guess what? These are so much better than knives, you guys. I don't even have to get close to people.
And then, and she's happy for them to see them, and she's off doing her own little robber thing. And then they go back and they see the prince and the princess, and they're happy. But they do have the bad news that the crow died, and the fiance is now a widow. But it is what it is.
Just a random piece of sadness for this story.
And they finally make it all the way back home. They see her grandmother, and they're all happy to see each other. And when they get home, they look in the mirror, and they see they've grown up. And they're adults now.
I was gonna say, so they spent however long in the castle or on their journey or whatever.
Mm-hmm. And they realize that they're grown up, and I don't know how it makes sense, but basically they say they understand their childhood song now, and it has to do with like only the child can make it into heaven, and they understand that they're adults, but they have to stay children at heart.
Right.
So essentially they grew up, and that's why he couldn't find eternity. And
the Narnia series.
Yep.
The reason Susan couldn't get into heaven was because she freaking decided to become a woman and liked makeup.
Yep. That's why a lot of people say that Narnia was inspired by this.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things in it that I understand why.
Like talking animals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Being taken away by the Snow Queen.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's basically the story.
Which is nothing at all like Frozen.
Which is absolutely nothing like Frozen.
Yeah, but that's so interesting. I literally knew nothing about that. I kept thinking like Hansel and Gretel vibes or I don't know, but like doing tasks or like meeting people along the way and getting allies and stuff. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really fun. I'm really glad I read it. And like the entire time too, like even before I got to the end of them being like, "Oh, we're grown up now." Like a lot of it I was analyzing and understanding when they would describe Kai being like mean and taunting. Like they were friends as kids, but then he's going through his adolescence.
Puberty.
Yep.
And he's taunting and she's not understanding why he's all of a sudden being like this and running off and doing his own thing. But they still loved each other and they still were able to bring each other back. And there were moments in there too, like the different people she meets, I think were really good representations of like women growing up too, of like you have the mother that wants to take care of you and keep you and forget about the boys that are growing up, stay a kid, stay with me.
Yeah.
But no, she had to move on. And she runs into like the prince and the princess, so learning about love. And then she runs into the little robber girl who's still kind of mischievous, but she has to be the responsible one. And yeah, there's a lot of really cool things in there that I really liked as I read it.
Yeah.
But yeah, there hasn't been a lot of adaptations of this, but there's been more than I thought. Like there is like a cartoon movie of it that's from like the 50s or something like that.
Oh, the 50s, they did cartoons of everything back then.
I actually think I might have watched a cartoon version of this at one point. As you were telling the story, I was like, this feels like a cartoon that I watched as a kid.
Yeah, there was, let me see if I can find it, because there's some actually kind of famous people that did voices for it.
Ooh. So the Once Upon a Time version, while you look that up, the
Uh-huh.
Once Upon the Time version it had the mirror and the Snow Queen, and yeah, that was about it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. But I do like, I mean, even in Frozen, it's like she got hit in the head with the magic,
Yeah.
which was like the eye, and then she got hit in the heart. She had the frozen heart.
Right.
That
But
they
she
were trying
wasn't
to save.
mean or evil.
Yeah, but she wasn't mean or evil in it, so that was a thing. So yeah, in literature they say The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe was possibly inspired by it. There's a French artist, Stéphane Blanque. I don't know. I don't speak French. That did something for that. Ophelia and the Marvelous Boy by Karen Foxleen is a children's book set in modern times featuring the Snow Queen and other elements. In 1982, Soviet movie Tears Were Falling takes aspects of it. The Snow Queen 1957 is a Soviet animated film. Sandra Dee was Gerda.
Oh.
Okay.
And then in the 90s, they redubbed it. Kathleen Turner, Mickey Rooney, Kirsten Dunst, and Laura San Giacomo were all in it.
Interesting.
So it was technically a Soviet film that was dubbed over for English in the 50s and in the 90s. But yeah, I got some fun facts about the Frozen movie now at that point, because obviously there was some stuff that like stayed in it, but for the most part it was very different.
Yeah.
Basically all of these are going to be like IMDb trivia facts about it. So like Jenna said, originally Queen Elsa was intended to be the villain of the story. However, the character's major song, Let It Go, was played for the producers. They concluded that the song was not only very appealing, but its themes of personal empowerment and self-acceptance were too positive for a villain to express.
They had no idea how big it would be.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Thus, the story was rewritten to have Elsa as an isolated innocent who is alarmed upon learning that her powers are inadvertently causing harm and struggles to control them. Walt Disney Studios attempted several times before to make the Snow Queen. In 2002, they started it, but it was scrapped when the animator quit the project.
Oh, dang.
Uh,
Wow, as early as 2002.
2002. 2009, it was brought up again with a bunch of people that were supposed to work on it, including the director for The Beauty and the Beast,
Oh.
The Hunchback of Notre Dame, and Atlantis: The Lost Empire. Producer Don Hahn and Linda Wolverton also signed on as a project alongside Alan Menken and Glenn Slater to do the music. Who were... and then in 2010, it was placed on hold, but rather than put back in development hell, it was revised and reworked again.
Okay. And then it came out 2014, right? 2015?
Something like that? I don't remember.
I think
Right.
I think it was either 2014 because I remember I was still a elementary school teacher,
Yeah.
and all of my students.
All of it.
Oh, it was the worst time to be a teacher.
But yeah, every time it was trying to like recreate the actual
Yeah.
story. The original Danish fairy tale on which the film is based is a personal favorite work of Her Majesty the Queen of Denmark, Queen Margaret.
Oh,
And Alan Menken was originally supposed to do the songs for the movie. He even wrote a song called Love Can't Be Denied. However, it didn't stay in the score because Menken left the project.
what did Macon work on? Do we know?
Oh,
What he
he's done a
worked on?
lot of stuff.
Okay.
He's pretty famous. I can look that up later. But he's one of the more famous like
Music
music producers
composers or whatever.
from it. So this one I found interesting. Hans seemed to be based on the cursed mirror from the original fairy tale. In the fairy tale, if the mirror punctures someone, they only see the bad in the world and essentially become cold-hearted. Because Hans was constantly overshadowed by his older brothers, he grew up to be cold-blooded and manipulative. Furthermore, in the first 2/3 of the film, Han acts like a mirror by subtly mimicking whoever he's with so no one suspects his true intentions.
Yeah.
When he sees his own reflection in the study's window, he finally reveals his wicked nature.
Ooh.
I liked I don't know if you guys ever saw the like headcanon things where it was like, what if Hans wasn't a bad guy and the trolls cast a spell on him by singing because all of a sudden after that he went from being an okay guy who was very concerned about Anna Anna to being like, nope, I'm a bad guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I
After
heard
the
too,
whole
and I was like,
song.
that's pretty fun.
And then Kristoff and Anna were originally called Kai and Gerda, or Greta, as some of them, some of the translations say, which could still be seen in early concept arts. And this is the one I told you, Megan, I had to look up. Eventually, as the story changed, they were changed to adults and renamed Kristoff and Anna. Kristoff himself is both based on Kai and the robber girl from the original tale, because he had the reindeer and everything. Whereas Anna was based off Gerda and the Summer Witch, whom, according to some adaptations of the Snow Queen, is the title queen's character. And then finally, the one I had to look up was there are 2 characters in Frozen named Gerda and Kai, and they're just background, like, subtle characters, but they're part of the like castle that they live in, help take care of the castle.
Oh, okay. Very
So I'm
cool.
like, that was really cool that they did a little nod towards that.
Yeah.
I love that.
The other hand canon I like is that Tarzan is their sibling.
Yeah.
And that the ship is the same ship that they took in the one from Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
Except for that was all disproved by the second one, unfortunately.
I never watched the second one.
Yeah. Well,
I
they
will
find the
say-
ship in that one.
There was a part of the second one, when reading this story I thought of was when she went into the river.
Yeah.
And she, like, got caught up in the river and was being taken away by it.
I thought of that. It's
Yeah.
funny because I thought of that too. I was like, oh yeah, like in that part. And I was like, wait, slightly different. But
But now I want to watch that 1957 film that they
Yeah.
have, because I'm very curious about it, and I would like to see this actually
Comparisons.
adapted
Yeah.
into a good movie.
yeah.
So, an interesting thing with this story is that it seems like they don't fall in love in the end.
No, it is still a sibling story, because
Yeah.
they explicitly say in the beginning that they love each other like siblings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. I feel like, especially because I guess not back in the day, but a lot of these fairy tales all end in some kind of romance or
Mhm.
have a big romance aspect involved. I guess we got the romance between the prince and the princess and the crows, but
Yeah.
not like a centered romance. But you just got side character romances.
Yeah, and it was still the, like, in Frozen, the act of true love. Spoiler for Frozen for people who haven't seen it.
If you lived under a rock.
Right, the act of true love that saves him is a sibling's love
Yeah.
that saves them.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
You sing a song and make him cry, and then he cries out a shard of glass.
Yeah.
Curse
That
you,
dances and
curse you, devil.
But yeah.
Yeah. It's funny because I was looking back because when we were talking about Beauty and the Beast, I just happened to look back and I wanted to look at, they did have Beauty and the Beast in a lot of the Asian cultures too. But yeah, it's Beauty and the Beast. The Girl and the Serpent is a big, one in Asian culture because I was curious if it was just Western that kind of exploded with Beauty and the Beast, but no, it's all across the world.
That's pretty cool.
And even Native American culture has it.
Yeah.
I think that's something where, like, I knew you were doing Beauty and the Beast because you said you were doing Beauty
Right.
and the Beast. And I knew you were doing a Korean one. Well, I didn't know for a while because you didn't say it till later. But
I forgot.
I did talk to Jenna about it. I was like, it'll be interesting if Megan chooses like a Korean one that we won't know about. And so I knew Jenna's was like really well known, and I knew yours was probably something that we weren't going to know about. You said Rumpelstiltskin, and I'm like, it still works. But I wanted it to be something that it's like the only thing that's really well known about this is something that's nothing about it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's so, like, it's also interesting how different people portray stories, because we all know that, like, Sleeping Beauty has such a really horrible original story, or like version of it. And then you have the Disney version, which is very calm and
Yeah.
sort of,
peaceful.
well, minus the dragon part. But then you have, like, you know, Beauty and the Beast that has so many different versions of it.
Right.
Some are really dark, some are really light. So it's just very interesting how people decide to portray certain folktales,
Yeah.
fairy tales in a way that could be either palatable for children or like dark and gritty for adults, but also with like a very similar story. But like the Snow Queen, like you said, doesn't really have that many adaptations that we know of. outside of Frozen, but even then Frozen feels like its own thing.
Yeah, Frozen definitely felt like its own thing. Like, I think Frozen was definitely that thing of, it was supposed to be this, but we changed everything because it turned out better a different way.
It's interesting because it's so loosely based on the Snow Queen, whereas as you're telling the story, it did sound very much like Chronicles of Narnia.
Yeah.
And it's like Chronicles of Narnia is loosely based on it, but probably follows it much more in like closely than Frozen ever could.
Yeah. I will say that in the Snow Queen there is like snow guards at her castle. That made me think of the snow
Giant
guard
snowman. We were just talking about you.
But yeah, I think that was the big thing of like, I didn't know Narnia was bigly based on it until I was reading it, and then I was like, wow, this does sound like Narnia.
Yeah.
Because every time I think Narnia, I just think, biblical.
Yeah.
Right, same.
So
yeah.
reading this, although this has a lot of biblical ties, it has a lot of, like, the song that they sing is about Christ's child and stuff like that. There's obviously devil and angels and stuff like that, so.
Yeah, and it has a lot of things where it's like, you were saying, it has tidbits to growing up, and it's like tidbits to the world where the devil, he pretty much had this mirror, and that's why we see the bad in people. There are some people that are cruel and see bad in people, and some people that just will never be good, and obviously those are the serial killers and psychopaths. But
I gotta see if I can find the quote for the spectacle one, because I thought that one was so interesting, because it basically was like, all the politicians were the spectacles. But yeah, I don't know. I liked it. I liked the mythology of this mirror and everything like that. And then I liked the whole story just being an analogy for growing up and learning, like, how people change as they grow up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. I didn't really talk about it, but that was the thing they say that with the Beauty and the Beast, like, there's so many different tales that pretty much the way they kind of like narrowed it down is like, there's pretty much the moral of the story is love overcoming all obstacles and beauty being more than just surface deep.
Yeah.
And that's how you know it's a Beauty and the Beast retelling.
Yeah.
Essentially.
So I found it said, other pieces were made into spectacles, and evil things came to pass when people put them on to see clearly and to see justice done.
And to see justice done.
Sounds like injustice to me.
That's people put on spectacles to see clearly and to see justice done, but they put on the spectacles that only saw evil.
Right.
Essentially, they were like, okay.
Politicians are bad.
Yep. the judges are bad.
Corrupt.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's pretty much saying that revenge is bad. Like, if you're just looking for justice and revenge, all you're going to see is negativity and evil rather than overcoming that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Deep.
I don't know. I really liked the story. I'm really glad I read it. There are audiobook versions of it that you can listen to as well. So if you're ever looking to listen to it, it's really quick.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a long story for a kid's story, but it's like the chapters are like 7 minutes long.
Oh, okay.
Also have all the fairy tales.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
very cool. Well, thanks for sharing, you guys. This was a lot of fun.
I like this because we gotta go in depth into them.
Right.
I want to do more of these.
Me too.
More fairy tales.
As we were doing this, I was thinking, well, I want to do one based on like a book.
Yeah.
I think that would be like really fun, where we just say like, let's go into like a really old book, like the Iliad or the Odyssey or something like that, and talk about like the history behind that. That'd be really fun.
Yeah, I'm down.
Or more fairy tales, because there's
Just
a lot out
find
there.
So many fairy tales.
I mean, there's fairy tales, there's folklore, there's fables, there's mythology. We could do it with all of that stuff. So
yeah, very cool.
I like it. All right, guys. So I forgot that I'm hosting and I have to wrap this up.
Yeah, we all like look at Jenna and
I'm
she's
just
like,
looking at you guys like, yeah.
Anything else?
No, thank you guys for doing this with me. As we all know, I love fairy tales. Like, that was my thing. I wanted to collect all of the leather-bound fairy tales. It's my first thing to do, and then I just started doing classics that I really enjoyed. But yeah, I really enjoy these deep dives. And I thought this was a lot of fun. Marissa had a really good idea with this one.
yeah, that's good.
Thank you.
So before we wrap this all up, let's talk about what we're reading. Marissa, what are you reading?
I'm still reading I'm still reading Intercepts by TJ Payne. I'm really liking it. I'm about halfway through it, and Megan and I were talking about it before you got here. But no, it's really good. It's very creepy. It's very intriguing and it definitely pulls me in. So
Very cool.
yeah.
What about you, Megan?
I am doing the audiobook of Cursed Crowns, which is by Catherine Doyle and Catherine Weber. It is the second book I read, Twin Crowns, maybe 2 years ago now, and I finally said, okay, it's time. And that's another Charlie Bowater cover, as I always like to mention. And for my physical book, I am reading The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. And I'm liking that one a lot. It is going in a direction that I did not expect.
Really?
And I'm only on chapter 3.
Wow.
And I'm just kind of like, wait, what? Like, she's been picked up by the bad people already. And I'm just like, dang.
Jump right in there.
What's happening? So I'm very, very intrigued to see how it goes, especially since there's 5 books plus a couple novellas. I started off with a novella, which was a very, very good segue into the series. I highly recommend starting off with the first novella.
Okay.
Which is The Pale Dreamer. It very much helped me in getting into this book. So yeah.
Good to know.
Awesome. How about you, Jenna?
I just finished The Fate of the Sun King by Nisha J. Tooley. I have the next book, which is The Artifacts of Oranos. I think there's 4 books total, and it's the last book. So I have the last book on my Libby. This one was rough for me because it had that thing where, like, there were so many things that the author did that I liked when she did the little, like, here's a reminder of what's happened. Let me develop the characters for you. And I was like, I like that. And, like, she even kind of, like, made fun of herself and made fun of all this stuff because it was like, she was like, oh, yeah, this character is not a blonde, despite the fact that everyone wants to say that he's essentially Tamlin. And
okay.
I was like, okay, like, I like that you can, like, I like the author a lot. And then, like, her dedication was like, I finally let them bang or something like that. Because even I was getting sick of it or whatever. But the problem was once they banged, I hated the relationship.
Yep. Yep, that always happens.
Oh, okay. And then I just lost so much interest in the books because it was like I felt like everything was kind of pushing on. That being said, it did end in such a way that I'm like, well, now I'm curious.
Oh no.
So I kind of want to finish it, but I'm also debating whether I want to finish it or because I almost DNF'd this 3rd book. So do I want to make myself do that? Do I want to read something else? I should read You, Me, and the Nightmare Painter because I was not going to procrastinate and I have been procrastinating that. But I also feel like maybe I need something that's going to make me happy and be a quick, easy read. So I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm going to do yet.
I will say, You, Me, and the Nightmare Painter was very quirky and comical.
Okay.
So
maybe I'll enjoy it. Maybe I'll try it. Give it a try.
I wouldn't say it's like super heavy, at least from what I read.
Yeah. Also a novel love story. You got that one as well.
Yeah, I don't have that one.
Oh, you don't have it.
I
Okay.
could get it. But
yeah.
Yeah, that's on my list for sure.
We're all just throwing books at you like, okay, we'll try this
read
one.
This one.
See what sticks.
Read The Snow Queen. It's very quick.
I don't know. I might read, what's that one about the team that gets in the plane crash that you were talking about?
Oh, that one?
Oh, Society of the Snow? Or
Yeah, Society of the Snow. Because
that is not a light, easy read.
No, I know, but I'm also trying to watch Yellow Jackets, so in that mindset, and so maybe that will continue that mindset for me.
That I did audiobook. I liked the audiobook for that.
And I might need the happy version of what happens to
it's not
balance
all
out
happy.
the cannibalism.
They don't all survive.
Yeah, but I mean, at least they don't all turn on each other, right, and get crazy.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, you can tell literally from like the first scene that they're all gonna turn on each other in the Yellow Jackets.
That scene is famously known as Pit Girl.
Yes. Yeah, you know pretty quickly.
That is one of the big like I don't want to say conspiracy theories, but one of those like mysteries that everybody tries to solve of like who is Pit Girl?
Yeah.
Oh. I just assumed it's Jackie because of the necklace.
That's what you think. That's what you want to assume. But she has dark hair.
That's true.
Jackie's hair is a little bit lighter.
Yeah, could be. Who knows?
Also, who's the one with antlers?
Yeah, who's the antler queen?
Yeah.
Pit Girl and Antler Queen. We don't know.
Yep. Well,
there's so much to go.
Hey. Okay, listen. Mom and I are all caught up on Handmaid's Tale, so now we can finally finish 3rd season of Yellow Jackets.
It's going to take me 800 years because I can only watch this during nap time. and nap time is long enough to get about
You're
2 episodes.
Like, what, 5 episodes in? That's not too bad. They're not long seasons.
No, it's not too bad. But I did, try to watch this at night yesterday and realized that was a mistake.
Oh,
so,
yeah. Anyways, sorry.
It's okay.
Sidetrack.
Tune in next week where we figure out what light read Jenna did.
Yep.
And also the ending of Yellow Jackets. Just kidding.
One week, you guys both have to finish it.
Yeah.
We become a Yellow Jackets podcast.
and Prior of the Orange Tree podcast.
For this week, we're going to talk about fairy tales. Next week, we talk about cannibalism.
We talk about that almost every other episode, it seems.
Sorry.
It's at least brought up.
Yeah.
I wonder if I should be concerned.
Hey, you guys are sisters. I'm the odd one out.
That's true.
So I'm just saying, I think you guys would choose each other over me.
I would like to think that Marissa would choose me. We do talk about all the time how in the shows when they don't choose a sister, everything goes wrong.
It's true.
Oh.
Very true.
Listen. Well,
Walking
between
Dead.
that and Elias being the chosen one and Jenna.
I was telling Angela and Courtney about that this weekend because I was saying how he keeps making me put my hair in a braid. And I was like, as we call it, the orphan anime braid.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, before we go, just a reminder, find us on social media, Instagram, Facebook. We have a TikTok.
We
Yes.
do. We've posted like 3 videos.
Yeah, it's okay. I forgot 3 weeks worth of episodes, so I had to post all of them on Tuesday because I was like, crap, I haven't done this in a while. So yeah, go like us, rate, review, subscribe. Obviously, we're really good at this, so we're expecting you to be perfect. And then listen to us anywhere you get podcasts. So if you know someone and they don't have Spotify, you can still tell them to listen to us on Apple Music or whatever. Or if you're listening to us on Apple Music and vice versa, whatever. And then, as always, we're going to end this on a quote. Marissa sent this, and I love this quote. We all have been holding on to this for forever. And it says, "But someday you will be old enough to start reading fairy tales again." And that's by C.S. Lewis, which is perfect
For this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys.
Bye.
Bye.